Alright, today we're going to go do a training video on how to use the TopCon Total Station Robotic. It's the QS3A. Most of you guys have this. This robotic version also can be used manually, just as a total station. You don't have to use the robotic portion, but today we're going to go over the robotic portion. So the first thing we're going to do, we're outside the field office, Los Lunas. And essentially, when you're setting up your instrument, you want to set it up in such a way where you can get all your points shot. Today we just set it up in the shade for convenience, but indeed our shots are going to be, there's a flag right there. It's one of our benchmarks, and then we're going to shoot this quote-unquote field. There's a flag right there and a flag right over there. It's a 100 by 100 foot field. We're going to shoot it all, and this is for practice purposes. Shoot it all with the robotic, and so you can see that all our shots are within the placement of our equipment. You want to make sure you place your equipment in such a way where you get to shoot all your shots. Line of sight is the most important part when you're setting up your equipment. So once you find a place where you can set up your equipment, which we already did, you're going to set up your tripod. Set up the tripod initially as level as you can, and once you got it as level as you can, then you're going to place the robotic on top of the tripod. I'm basically teaching this video as if no one's ever used it, but there's a screw thing on the bottom, and Gene, if you lift that up, you're going to get the TopCon, put it on the base, and screw it in. So I like to start as if no one knows anything. And once we got it screwed in, once again, the tripod, you got it as level as you could. By getting as level as you could, that means you're not going to have much to level the actual machine itself. Once you got the machine on the tripod, you're then going to level it with the three,
with the bubble.
We'll call them legs, knobs. And there's a bubble right here that you can see that it's already partially level. I think we need to go up. We need to go this way a little bit.
Well, you use the legs to get that part of it.
Yeah, so we're using, yeah. So when you're initially setting it up to get it level on the bubble, if you adjust the legs up and down before you use the knobs, it makes it easier. And then once you get it semi-level with the legs, by moving the legs up and down, basically unscrewing these and just moving it up and down, you're going to get this as level as you can. Once you got that done, then you got the knobs. You normally want to use the knobs in such a way where you're using two at a time and you're moving the knobs in or out. So demonstrate that real quick, Gene.
Okay, and one important part is that if you can start from a neutral position, which is where the line is.
Yeah, there's a line.
There's a line right there.
Yeah, there's a fine line right there. If you get them all to the neutral position before you start, then you can get the maximum up and down that you can do. So let's get this one. That one, you see there's a delineated line. There's the line on that one.
Yeah.
And there's a line on that one. Start from a neutral point, and then from there, now you can use your two fingers, your two thumbs, move it in or out.
And you're trying to get this horizontal bubble, and you just go real slow because it moves pretty quickly. So you get that as close as you can get it using two of them here. Okay, and then you go around to the next leg and do the same thing.
So she's getting between two knobs.
Where's my bubble? There it is. And then
she's going to set it over the last two knobs.
Okay. So at this point,
and then if we look at our other, now you can see, let's just turn this around. After you level it over those three legs, you can see that the level underneath is level.
So at this point you turn it on and you electronically level it to fine tune it. Point it to the north.
Yeah, always point the total station to the north so that when you're shooting your shots, all your shots are relative to the north.
Use a little
and we have a, if you don't have a compass with you, you can download an app. I actually have it on my phone so I can't show you it, but I downloaded a compass app. If you have a manual compass, then get your compass, put it in front of you, pretend there's a compass on my hand, and north is indeed facing my fingers.
Yeah, now turn it up.
So we oriented
Okay.
as close as we could
So carry it over here.
total station north.
So we've turned it on, and it's telling us that the robotic is getting controlled by the controller, which is actually the data collector.
Okay.
So you turn the data collector on, and you open TopServe. Double click. Not too fast. And you wait, because you just have patience with this instrument. Stuff takes a while to load
don't
up.
click things and keep on clicking them, because you'll end up getting in a loop, and then it's you might just have to turn off everything and start over.
Okay, so now we're just going to let that sit for a second.
Okay. I'll hold
And
this
it's taken us
right
to
here.
the new open whatever screen. But what we're going to do now is we're going to electronically,
See if I can get that in there. There we go.
we are going to
All right, go ahead.
electronically level this instrument now. So you push the star, and then you go to the fourth button on the second row. It gives you this little screen here where you got to get your parameters down below 20 seconds. And right now they're at 15 and 6.
So you can see the 16,
see that?
and the X is 16 inches, now it's 17, and then Y is in the 1 minute. If you get it below 20, those were the instructions that were given by Fernando. I'm sure he used some kind of justification for that in our standards and specs / surveying protocol.
Yeah.
But less than 20 is what we're going to use for this video, less than 20 minutes for the X and the Y, and they are below less than 20 minutes.
Are those minutes or seconds?
Or seconds, sorry.
Seconds, sorry.
Yeah.
So that's real fine tuning on getting this thing leveled, and if you've done everything really well up until this point, those numbers are going to be pretty close to
And that's
under
why they're
20.
within 20 right now. So that's good. So
Yeah.
now go ahead and
So now we're going to back out of this screen,
click the, okay.
little back arrow, and we're going to X out of the next screen, and we're going to go exit here, because what it's telling us here is that the remote control is being done by the controller, which is the data collector. So at this point I'm going to hit robotic. Actually, sorry. At this point I'm going to hit measure. Nope. Sorry, Jeremy.
Oh, that's fine.
That's right, I forget. The controls from the data collector. So at this point I'm going to put the stylus back in the machine.
Make sure you put the stylus back in the
It's a
machine.
good idea
so
to
you
have
don't
a
lose
string
it.
on that thing so you don't lose it.
And then you have a stylus on the data collector.
Right.
If you don't have a string on it, it's a good idea to put a string so you don't lose it.
So it's important at this point to do everything you need to do through the data collector, because the last time we tried to film this, we tried going through the screen on the TopCon and we bounced.
Yeah.
So here's our job list, and it wants us, we're going to open a new job, and we're going to name it with the year. And I use dashes. You can use no spaces, no dashes, or periods, which however you like your naming convention to be. And then so year, month, date, and then the name of the job, and we're going to call this training. T-R-A. Maybe I shouldn't have used a long word like that. Huh? Did I write it?
Just
Train. Whoops, sorry. So, okay, training. Okay. And so you can put in the name of the surveyor in there. We'll say that I'm doing this one. And we'll say next. And your data collector in TopCon should be set up with these defaults. So you basically just kind of next through the next few screens. We have written directions on these. If you need to make any changes, just know what you're doing before you do it. Otherwise, just next through everything and green check at the end. Green check at the end. It's telling me to wait. Okay, so now what we want to do is it's asking us, do you want to connect? And we say, yeah, we're going to connect. And, uh-oh. Turn that thing on, Anna. At this point, you should have just turned on the
So when it gets time to connect to the robotic, what is this called? The rover, you're gonna hit the green power button. Right now you can see it's on, so just hold it and turn it on. And then now on the data collector, you are going to...
We already hit connect, but we should have turned that thing on first.
Yeah,
but
we should have turned it on first.
Yeah,
but
at this point, we're going to just highlight that and select it. And this thing will make a noise that tells us it's connected.
Face it a little bit more towards me. Okay. There we go. I can see your shadow in there. There you go. Hello, Gene.
I know, hi. And it has not made the noise yet. Sometimes it can take a minute. It can take up to a minute.
So we're still waiting for it to connect to the robotic rover.
Should get that turned on.
Yeah, it's on.
The numbers aren't showing up. Okay, now it's on. All right, I'm going to go back to connections and try this again.
So it's a Bluetooth connection.
It makes a noise.
If you're having issues with, like we are, then this is good because we're figuring it out for you on how we're troubleshooting it.
So the green circle is on, so
How long does it normally take?
it can take up to a minute, but it's usually quicker than this.
Yeah, it started up earlier quicker. What does that biohazard button do?
I don't know. Oh, that makes it find it. So that's the find me button.
We finally got it connected. There was some technical issues, but you guys will have this out in the field. That's what's good. We're having it now. So we're gonna go through the. Basically, the rover was not talking to the data collector, and so to
yeah,
get
we
that
should have
fixed,
turned it on.
Yeah, make
right
sure
off
you
the
have
bat.
the rover on from the very onset.
Yeah.
When you're trying to get it set up.
So on the connections part, you go to Job Connections, and you can disconnect, and then connect. If you ever have trouble out in the field, this is one of the things to try. But this noise here, listen for the noise.
Yes.
That noise means it's connected. This green bubble up here means it's connected. So at this point, you're ready to roll, rock and roll. So you go to Edit, and you're going to add your base. Edit points, and you're going to add your base. And so you're going to put your base in, B-A-S-E. You're going to give it 7,000 for northing, 5,000 for easting, or whatever you actually choose or desire. If you have actual elevations, you can put your actual elevation in. 100's just going to be a relative elevation that we're going to base this survey on. So you do a green check mark when you got there, green check mark to get through the next screen, and your base is on. So now you green arrow back, and you go to your survey, you go to your occupation backsite setup. If Jeremy will go set up on, you know what, I can walk over there with you.
Before we go and shoot our backsite, I forgot to go over the part of setting up the TopCon robotic total station over a hub. And the importance of doing that is so that if after days of surveying you go and you shoot all your points in the field, and then you forget a few points or a point, well, you can come back and set up over that exact hub, set the TopCon robotic over the hub again, and make that survey relative to the previous day survey. Now if this hub gets knocked out, you should have had at least a couple more temporary benchmarks so that you could go and shoot over that one, because you'll know the elevation and the distance and X and Y relative to the previous day survey. So I put a hub in the ground, and then I put an X with a pencil, and then on the robotic you have a peep sight, and when you look into this peep sight, I doubt it's going to work with this, but let's see if we can get it. You're going to see where the hub is. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, you kind of see it. Well, when you look at that peep sight, you should be able to see the top of the hub and the X. As soon as the peep sight, there's going to be a little circle in the peep sight, a black circle. You want to get that black circle that's in the peep sight directly over the X mark. And before we even did that, what we used was a plumb bob, and with the plumb bob we just hooked up to the bottom, and right now it's not directly over it, but we could loosen this. It's already loose, and let's just say that just for the purposes of this video, we're gonna get that plumb bob so it's directly over the X. And then you don't need a plumb bob with this machine, but if you don't have a peephole on your machine, then you'll need a plumb bob to get it close. And once it's close enough, then you'll finally lock your station in. Like I said, this video is pretend, so we're going to just keep on going forward with saying that everything's leveled still. And then the next thing you're going to have to do is get your HI, which we haven't entered that into the data collector yet, but the HI is going to go up to this line right here, right?
Yep. So
let's put that right next to it, or as close as we could. And it's about 4.4, oh, there's the points.
4.38 is what we already decided on this,
okay.
yeah. So that's going to be what we're going to use. 4.38, because now we are going to go and set up our back sight, which Fauna has graciously agreed to hold the rod for us.
Okay, so I can pause this. So for this video, we made a X on the concrete.
Yeah.
That's going to be our benchmark, one of our benchmarks.
And these screens actually show up best with the sunlight right on them, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So our height of instrument, it was 4.
Before you got to this, where were you at, Gene? Before you got to this place.
Hang on, let me go back. Green. I went to survey, occupational backsite setup.
Oops. Yeah,
sorry, maybe it doesn't like the sunlight for that.
Okay.
So we're going to set up our height of instrument.
3.8.
4.38.
4.38.
Is what we decided before, or what we measured before. Our height of rod, we've got it at 6.0.
And that is based off of here, 6 foot exactly to the top of this niche. And then there's our rover and the prism underneath it. The prism is what the robotic is going to be searching for once we get it set up to that point.
Okay, and the backside is by azimuth because we want it shooting, we're setting it as close to north as we can get it because we want to orient the survey north just for ease in using it later on.
So azimuth is 0, and that's why it's important to get your setup initially as close as you can to north.
So go ahead and put the rod on there. And we want the...
then we're going to get that level.
Well, we want the instrument trained on
There's the level part.
And we need to go back here. Jeremy, let's come back to the instrument for a second.
So Fauna's at the benchmark.
At this point, there's a little triangle here you can use to sight in on things, and you use these knobs at the side to move the instrument. You're not supposed to manhandle this instrument around. You might have to turn
yeah,
that
you're supposed to
down.
use the knobs. Don't turn it like
so I'm basically
manual total stations.
I'm sighting it the top of that triangle in on the face of the rover.
So there's the triangle. Well, let's see if
Hard
you
to
can see
see.
that. We'll go out. Well, anyways, there's a triangle right in there,
Yeah.
and we're setting that onto the prism.
Okay, now we're going to go back over. We're going to shoot that back sight. Okay, so here we went to the setup screen, and we put in our height of instrument, our height of rod, and named the point, gave it a number, and we go to the measure screen, and we do set. And that noise means that it took that back sight shot. So I'm going to go back to measure, and I'm going to check it real quick. Took it again, and now we're ready to go and survey. So we green arrow out of this screen, go back to survey, but this time we go to observations. And now we're ready to go survey. And it's automatically numbered the point one farther up for the code.
Let's see, why isn't it showing?
Tilt is
Show it
over.
in the,
you
sun.
moved it. You tilted it.
What did I tilt?
Remember when you were moving it around to look at this stuff?
Oh,
Here, I gotta
gosh,
go fix
dang
that.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's giving us an error saying that there's a that the robotic is slightly tilted, and that's because I moved it earlier in the video. So basically, it's kind of neat because it'll tell you if before you even start shooting if your equipment is off or not. So Gene is going to re-level it over there, get it within the tolerance of the equipment, and then we shouldn't get this little error anymore.
We're ready to shoot shots. It's not. It's
So it
not
shouldn't give us
looking
an
at us
error
yet.
again.
No, but it is. It's not. It's not seeing us because of that hourglass. So you hit this, and that should tell the reader. That should tell the TopCon to look for the rover, which it is doing.
So it's trying to find it.
I press that find button.
Which find button? There it is. So you can see the robotic moving up and down, trying to find it. It'll move to the around, and we're right here trying to find that prism.
As soon as it
So
does, it'll make a noise.
Still looking. And it looks like it's almost there now. It's looking for it in the XY.
It's found it. Just making sure, maybe deciding if it likes it or not.
Yeah. There it goes.
There's the noise.
So we heard a beep on the rover.
And what we're going to see here on the data collector is that this will turn into a floppy disk, or it should. First the horizontal and the vertical and the sight distance will come up. It does not appear to be seeing it yet.
It's still working. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so right now we have a floppy disk showing that it's reading the machine, it's reading the rover, and you've got your horizontal azimuth, your vertical azimuth, and your sight distance. We're 23 feet from the machine. So at this point, I hit the floppy disk, and it makes that noise, boop, 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 which is the happy noise.
So it shot our backside.
And it has shot our it shot our sight that we're on right now. Actually, we are.
Oh, okay.
We're into field shots.
All right, so we're shooting field shots.
So let's go walk and do field shots, and I've named them in the code, FS.
Okay. So we named all our shots, field shots, the nomenclature, naming convention you use. It's going to be, you'll know what we try to standardize the nomenclature, but I know everyone has different naming conventions. So this is the first corner of our quote-unquote field. We're going to put our rover onto that point, and we're going to shoot the quote-unquote corner of the field.
If you've noticed, it followed us over here. I still have a floppy disk.
You can see that the laser level is bleeping, or sorry, the robotics beeping and pointing towards us. It followed
Don't look at the laser light.
Followed
Don't
us